Hello, and welcome to a live stream on the Wized channel. We have a really nice update for you, a new integration, a new platform that we're working with, and a new relationship. This is going to be huge for our users. In this stream, we are going to talk all about it. Today, we have Alex Iglesias, the CTO of Wized, here on the call, and Julian Galuzzo, the community project developer at Memberstack. And today, we're talking about the new Memberstack and Wized integration. This is going to set up so many people for building SaaS products, for growing their agency, for really doing whatever they're looking to do on the web. So we're going to talk a lot about this. We're going to get deep into the integration. We're going to show examples, show you what you can do with this, and announce a really cool contest. We're going to have a contest between May 29th and June 14th to build a SaaS product. We'll talk more about that more towards the end, but there's going to be cash prizes, SaaS subscription prizes. We're going all out on this. We're going to see who can build the coolest SaaS. But before we get into that, let's say hello to our product experts. Alex, Julian, how you doing?
Great.
Hey,
I'm
y'all.
very excited to talk about this.
Awesome. Okay, so we have lots of people in the audience here. Let's see. Yeah, we got Ferdy in here. We got Pablo Cortez, Robert Boulis. Hello, Cores, Glenn. How's it going? Sylvan. We have No Code Pro Code. Hello, and
That's Yassine.
yeah. Hey, Yassine, what's up? All right, let's get started here. So, Julian, I'm going to direct this question at you. Why are we doing this? Why is there a new Memberstack integration here with Wized, and what are you doing right now with it, and how is it benefiting your workflow already?
Well, I guess to start, I want to say that I personally am not really a developer. I've learned some things along the way, but probably like quite a few people here, I am just used to, Webflow, Make, no code tools, that kind of stuff. And when I heard about Wized before you guys actually acquired it, I got super excited, like very, very excited. It felt like kind of the missing piece for building things, building a SaaS with no code. And then I went to try it. And this, like I said, was before you guys acquired it. The UI was different, UX was different, everything was different. But I guess it was a little bit scary. And being that I had, clients at the time, I didn't really have the time to set aside and just figure it out and get past that initial barrier. So I shelved the idea of using Wized for quite a while. Now, on the other hand, Memberstack is super. If anyone here has used Memberstack, then it is super, super easy to set up. That being said, the main use case of Memberstack isn't full on building a SaaS product. It's a part of building a SaaS product. It's the business side of things. Whenever you are launching a SaaS, there's obviously your app. And then on the other side, there is your business. And you need a good app in order to make sure that, people want to use it. But at the same time, you need to make sure that your business side of things is intact. So you're easily able to manage your members. You're easily able to charge them. You're easily able to give them access to the stuff that they paid for. And that is stuff that's all super easy with Memberstack. And with Wized, obviously, it takes more time to set up just because you need to set up everything individually. And then I guess we realized that the two of those together are perfect because you have the brain of your app, which is Wized, and you have the brain of your business, which is Memberstack. And using the two together allows you to set up the stuff that you need in order to be a business very quickly with Memberstack. And it allows you to build really, really amazing and powerful features using Wiz. So it basically captures the power of code and the simplicity of no code.
That is a great answer. I love how you position the Wized is the business side of the brain, and Wized is the application side of the brain, right? No one platform is going to do everything for you. You have to specialize in certain features and certain platforms that do those features well. So MemberStack really taking care of the whole business aspect, and then Wiz taking care of the application, the way that you interact with that user in the business. Super powerful. So, Julian, when you came to us talking about this potential integration and relationship, we kind of jumped on it right away with that early demo. So, Alex, I'll go to you now. What was going through your mind when Julian came to us and said, "Hey, this is the right integration here. This is what's going to really help your users." Right? It's not something that we were thinking about before Julian approached us, but once he did, it made a lot of sense. So, how did you handle this integration, and what can you do with this integration?
Yes, absolutely. Let me preface this by so before I was even in the Wiz team, I when I thought about Memberstack and Wiz, I thought of them as just competitors. Like you can build a gated site either using Wiz or using Memberstack. Okay, so they are competitors, and that's it. But the moment when I got more into Wiz, obviously using the app and then becoming part of the team, then I realized that both tools have a key part on the full project spectrum. Well, as you said, so Wiz can enable managing anything related on the front end, from user interactions, listening for events, triggering specific actions, interacting with APIs, etc. And MemberStack takes care of everything related to authentication, subscriptions management, etc. So when you're building a full SaaS product, or any, it doesn't have to be a SaaS product, but any tool that has many moving parts, some of these parts can be related to what MemberStack implements. Some of these tools can be related to some other things. Like you could have a database where you are storing some business critical things. You could have some just interactivity to provide a specific experience on the users. So the moment that I, realized that MemberStack is just actually one extra tool that we could be integrating in our projects to enable getting content, to enable subscriptions, and making things very easy, because that's actually what MemberStack is a professional on. They are just experts on providing these services, which are just very critical when you're building an app. It was just, this click, thinking, oh, that would be nice if we didn't have to roll out every single time that we're building a project our own authentication, just creating everything that it's required to get the content or logging the users, etc., or just to trigger subscription flows and make sure that people can only see things that they have paid for, etc. Um, so yeah, it was just exciting. So the moment that we got that suggestion from the members tech team, we built a proof of concept, very quick prototype, and we validated it. And from both sides, I think,
Yes.
like we just presented that and was like, okay, cool, this actually works really good. So let's proceed with this.
It's so wild that there was a point where we were thinking MemberStack is a competitor of Wiz. Uh, it just kind of blows my mind that we had that thought in our head. And the reason we did is because our users were coming to us telling us they were making the decision between Wized and MemberStack, right? So right away we thought maybe this is a competitor relationship. But when Julian presented it to us, it was very clear that MemberStack is not a competitor. We need to change the way users think about this and show that MemberStack is that powerful tool in your workflow to enable those business critical decisions, business critical data, and business critical actions. Right? There's so many apps that you can do lots of great things with, but MemberStack focuses on those core features: members, payments, login, sign up. This is all super important. And yeah, this is now what we're going to be recommending to users who want to jump into Wiz, get something built, and have success with it. And let's now transition to that success. Julian, very quickly after pitching this idea, came to us with a full SaaS product, a very cool one. And this was built with these two tools. And it's going to be used as the example and basis for this contest that we're going to jump into later. So Julian, can you talk about this SaaS product that you built here?
Yes, I can. And first things first, am I all clear? Because it was a bit choppy for a second. Perfect. So basically, Duncan on our team, nice thumbs up there, approached me with the idea of a product, a little SaaS, which can do something about rage clicks. So whenever someone is on your website, on your app, and they are just absolutely spamming and clicking it, you can see in a lot of analytics tools, how many people rage clicked, but that's about it. There's nothing you can really do about it. You kind of are left to yourself to figure out what you're going to do. Is the UX bad on that page? Why are people rage clicking? Did I underline something that's not a link? Whatever. You're left to yourself to figure that out. So the idea here was to do something about it. And initially, all we did was we made a prototype using ChatGPT, just a simple, like, I don't know, 50-line script or something like that, which is going to open a custom Webflow UI when a rage click is detected. And that was super simple, probably, a few prompts of ChatGPT later, and there was that working little prototype there. But that is not a product. You can't just go ahead and like sell someone a 60-line script. Not going to work for many, many different reasons. So then it came down to turning it into a product. And the first thing that I did immediately was think, okay, Wized is going to be absolutely perfect for this. So first of all, went ahead and just got it so that when a member logs in, it gets their member ID from Memberstack and creates this string, which is the embed script that goes in there. And that is the most simple thing ever. But as soon as I did that, I had that little click. I'm like, oh, this is really good. You can do a lot of different things with this. So once that was there, then consulted my, good friend. Like I said, I'm not a real developer here, so consulted my good friend ChatGPT to see, okay, what I want to do is make it so that when somebody uses my app, they are going to add this script to their site, and then it's going to load stuff based on their preferences. And it goes, well, okay, use a Vercel serverless function. And it explained all of this kind of more developer stuff in very simple terms. So I got that working, set up Supabase pretty simply. And I use Supabase. You could have used Xano, you could have used Airtable, you could have used Firebase, anything you want. And then I was looking and saying, okay, so we need to store everyone's settings, their preferences, whatever it is that they want to do. So using Wized, took the form that they filled out, put it into Supabase, and then basically this whole thing through a kind of iteration of figuring something out using Wized, setting up that serverless function, which it was scary to me before I did it. And then I asked a few questions to ChatGPT and all was clear. And then it was working. It was making it so that whenever someone added this custom little script on their page, it was actually loading what I set up. And then slowly building, and I mean, I'm saying slowly, but if I can just emphasize here, the start to finish of this entire project was 2 weeks. By the end of it now, if you go ahead and use this, basically the way it works is you sign on using Memberstack, and then once you're in, set your preferences, embed it on your site, and then you get stats about how many people rage clicked, where they rage clicked. You can set your preferences, you can have it open a live chat, and all of this was done so fast. And the final point on that is I had the entire app and the functionality working. And then just to get the auth working with Memberstack, I think probably took me maybe 25, 30 minutes, which was super, super cool. It played beautifully with everything I'd set up in Wized. And yeah, just I didn't know I was able to do that. And now I know. So I'm excited.
Amazing. That's great. It saves you so much time, and it saves you from making mistakes accidentally. I want to bring up a comment here from Yassine, no code pro code. A big pro of Memberstack is you will not make errors in your business logic, and errors in your business logic can be costly mistakes. I love this comment. By using any type of no code or low code tool, I think it really does a good job of reducing errors. You use Webflow because it takes less time and you're less likely to make errors in your HTML. It's helping you construct that HTML. Same thing in Wized. You are generating JavaScript, so it is reducing the amount of errors that you can make writing JavaScript. And Julian, I'm sure that if you didn't use Wiz for this, you could build the same application, but you'd probably write a lot of JavaScript, which could be prone to error, which could be prone to not being optimized. And the idea is Wized is going to optimize for you, make it less time to build, and reduce the mistakes. And the same thing is true with Memberstack. And this comment from Yassine that it's really easy to make mistakes with authenticating your users, accepting payment, um, logging in, logging out, right? You can do these things with other platforms and piece these things together. But Memberstack makes it I'd like to say easier, right? Less prone to error. So this is a huge benefit from getting away from writing code and using these specialized tools to make it happen. So great comment, Yassine. I'd love to bring up another comment here from Glenn at the Flow. Very similar, Julian, you talked about building with Supabase. A lot of Wiz users are Xano users. So Glenn asks, if you have a backend like Xano in your stack and you need to relate data in your database to Memberstack users, what's the best way to link Xano users to Memberstack users? And you use Supabase. Maybe it's the same thing, maybe it's different, but how would you approach Xano specifically and any other backend that somebody wants to use?
So there are two different things that you're going to need to use in order to make that work. One of which is Memberstack webhooks. So you have a catalog of different events that you can subscribe to. For example, member created, and you basically just need to get a URL from Xano that you then put in Memberstack, say what you want to pass through, handle it however you want in Xano, and then on the same side, use the Memberstack. I about 99% sure it is the admin API that you would need to use in order to make this work. Whenever X happens in Xano, do this in Memberstack. And the good thing about that is it is not very hard to set up because there's not a whole lot of stuff actually happening with your members. Once you've got them set up, you need to make sure that when they're updated on one side, they're updated on the other side, created on one side, created on the other, deleted, so on and so forth. But for me personally, using Supabase, this whole thing probably took me. I actually have a video about how to sync up Memberstack and Supabase, and that whole thing was figured out very, very, very quickly. And a great idea would be also to do that for Memberstack and Xano, but it's the same concept.
Correct me if I'm
Great.
wrong, but I think that another thing that you could do is just simply because whenever you're interacting, for example, with Xano, you're sending requests to your
Yeah.
Xano server. On the Wiz tab, on the front end, you've got, when you log in somebody, you've got the member object, you've got the data from that member, which contains, for example, an access token that represents the authentication well, it's to authorize that user to access specific endpoints. And that access token contains info of that user. So one thing that I think that you could potentially do is just send requests to your Xano endpoints, sending that access token, and then on Xano, use the Memberstack admin API to validate that token. That would be
Yes.
correct, right? You could potentially validate the access token, which would give you the ID of the user. Just make sure that the user is the right one. And with that ID, you could query your database and grab any data that you want to serve to that specific user.
Yes. So what I actually did for a ton of different requests and a very, very simple thing that covered almost everything was exactly that, just validating the token. So when I initially set it up, it worked and it was great and it was beautiful. And then I'm looking and going, there, I am no cybersecurity expert and I can hack this in like 5 minutes just because I didn't set it up very well at all. So then going through a few different ways to do that, what I figured out is basically any request that you make using Wized, what you can do is take their session token and then send it to the Memberstack admin API. It will return a member ID and any other info that you want it to return. And then you send that data in your request. So basically, this way, what's happening is, let's say I change something, I don't know what, depending on your setup, and I think I'm smart and making it so the app believes I'm a different member. When I hit request, it's going to take my session token, validate it, get a member ID, and update that record. So basically, there's no fooling it because you're not actually getting the member from the front end. You're not getting the member from the client. You're getting it straight from Memberstack, and that is so easy to set up.
Nice.
And there will be tutorials for this, right? This is just an overview. We're just talking about it right now. We're not going to learn the entire application stack right now, but we're going to release tutorials. We're going to show you how to do this. Julian, I know you and the Memberstack team are working on this, and it's going to be part of our campaign for building your own SaaS. So I definitely want to get into Wized soon, so that we can see this integration live in the dashboard. But before we do, I want to bring up two comments from Gaming Special Unity, and it's a great transitioning question here. What's the learning curve to understand Wized and Memberstack when you know Webflow? And then after that says, Wized is Wiz for a dev who knows JavaScript? Do we need to know JavaScript to understand this tool? So, Julian, I'm going to direct this question to you, because you said before that you're no coding expert. You use ChatGPT, and with the right base knowledge and then the tools to help you on top, you were able to put this together. So, can you explain, for someone who's not a code expert, not a JavaScript pro, how did you approach this, and how much JavaScript is really needed to do this?
So this one is luckily very simple to explain, and that is, if you are building something from scratch, and excuse any beginner lingo I use here for anyone who does know JavaScript very well, if you have everything in your own environment, there is a lot of code, and if you are new to it, it's going to overwhelm you, it's going to confuse you, and you're going to give up. The thing with Wized is that you're writing JavaScript in the same way that you're writing HTML and CSS with Webflow. So it is following the same logic, but Wized breaks it down into all of these little different things that you are doing. So instead of having to worry about how is this function going to go and affect this and do this and all of these different things, you basically are just looking at a statement that you need to make in order to make something work. That was kind of confusing, but I guess, how do I explain this? If you're working with ChatGPT, then instead of trying to go ahead and provide it with your entire environment, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of lines of code, you just need to say, how do I take this piece of data and do this to it? And it's going to give you back like 1 or 2 lines of code. And then you use that, and very quickly you get the hang of it. You start to realize how it works. You start to speak with ChatGPT. Instead of saying, I want my list to turn into another list, you say, I want my array to be sorted and do this. It's basically teaching you how JavaScript works, but it makes it very, very possible to work with while knowing zero or little JavaScript.
Nice. I think that you
It's
said
important to know
something.
the building blocks, just like Webflow. You know the building blocks, you can take full control. Alex, same question to you. And now Alex on the other side is our CTO. He has done amazing things to Wiz to bring it where it is today. It's a completely different product. So as a, let's call you a pro coder, uh, how would you tell somebody that's just starting out to get into these two platforms?
Nice. Well, first of all, read the documentation and watch the videos. All the content helps you a lot. Just get a quick on board on the tools. From the Memberstack side, I think that it's so simple because you just need to follow the steps that you get on the dashboard. You are set up, and the moment that you're set up, you're already prompted to add the script and generate the define the gated content, and then you're able to start just managing the users. It's so simple to use that it's so nice. Um, when you're working with Wist, I like to think of Wist as just a declarative framework. So, and Julian, you said something that was very nice when you were explaining your point of view when using Wist, and it's that you go from having to write a lot of code to make things behave in certain ways to just make statements. And that's exactly what a declarative framework means. It means that you don't have to be defining every single step that it takes to make a list to be rendered or sorted in a specific way or displaying the data in whatever way. You just make a statement that declares how you want that data to be displayed or how you want to interact to a specific event that happened on your app. And that's essentially the same mentality of the traditional JavaScript frameworks, because essentially Wist, it's a JavaScript framework that it's specifically designed for Webflow. So the same way that in React, when you're rendering a list, you don't have to be taking a template, cloning that template, then looping through all the elements, and then populating that template, and then just making sure that the data is sorted and blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do these things. You just make a statement like, hey, I want to render the list from this item using this array. And then Wiz just handles everything for you on the background. It's essentially the mentality of a declarative framework. So with Wiz, obviously there's a learning curve in terms of that you need to know the basics of JavaScript because you will be expected to write statements, and those statements are JavaScript functions. But all it takes is for you to learn the basics, like what is a return statement on a function, what is just an if-else statement, like these basic building blocks of JavaScript that allows you to just declare this how you want your application to behave. And that can be learned either, as some people in the chat are saying, just using Wist straight away when following some of our resources, or just always you can try to build something from scratch yourself and then try to build the same thing with Wist, and you'll notice the difference when trying to do that. Go ahead.
I I have a suggestion for anyone here who's never used Wiz before. Coming from somewhat recent experience, I had never used Wiz before, and I'm looking at this and saying, okay, this is a lot. I don't even know where to begin. Get started by building a very simple test app, which covers the four pillars. They're called CRUD: create, read, update, and delete. So all I did here, I think a common one is like a to-do list. And just go ahead, get in and say, okay, first, how do I create something using Wiz? Try it out, use ChatGPT, consult the docs, do everything you need to do, get that item created. After that, seeing it in your database of choice, saying, how do I access it? Figure that out. Then say, how do I update it? And then how do I delete it? If you make one very, very simple test app like that, as soon as you delete it and start from scratch, and then say, okay, I'm building a SaaS to detect rage clicks, you're going to go, oh, I actually know how to do that already. I've never done it, but I know how to do it. And that one thing that I probably spent 6 hours just playing around with made it so that I already have an idea of how to do everything I need to do in Wiz. And that was super powerful.
Great
Love it.
answers. And it all comes down to just doing it. Just get in there and start trying it out, trial and error. That's how I learned Webflow. That's how I learned Wized. Just getting in there, making mistakes, and then learning from those mistakes. And you can do that with every action in there. Now, I want to switch to the screen share. I want to show what this app and integration is all about. And we're going to bring up a comment from Patrick Hoban. I use Memberstack plus Wized plus Supabase for my SaaS already. How does this new integration change what I'm doing? So for all people, you could be a Memberstack user, a Wized user, both users, whatever. What does this integration do? How is this going to help people? So let's get Wized up and let's do a little demo here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so what I'm going to present you is actually the web app that we built ourselves internally as a proof of concept of using Memberstack in Wized. So forgive me if there are some things that don't look really pretty, just because that's a prototype that we did. But essentially here, it demonstrates some of the basic actions and requests that we could implement when integrating Memberstack. As you can see here, I've got my project, very simple dashboard where now I can sign up or sign in. And essentially here we've got this Memberstack app. You can omit the other apps. And setting up the Memberstack app is as simple as just selecting the app from the dropdown, setting the public key that you can find in your Memberstack dashboard, and you're good to go. You can use Memberstack right away already. Usually, what you will probably want to do is first set up Memberstack, use like in the regular process. You go to Memberstack, you sign up, you create your project, you grab the script tags, and you put that script tag on your site. You can use Wized and Memberstack both if you have the Memberstack script on your site or if you don't have the Memberstack script on your site. The main difference between these two approaches of having Wized and Memberstack scripts at the same time, or only having Wized, the script from Wized without Memberstack, it's that Memberstack by default has some built-in functionalities that you probably want to make use of, like gating content. So for example, in my Memberstack dashboard, let me see if I can switch to this tab here. I've got this my test Memberstack dashboard, and you can see how I've got some users. It's very nice to manage the data from these users. And also I can create plans and I can gate content. So I can decide if my dashboard, I want people to see it, if they are logged in or not, or if they are premium users or not. All of these can be managed by Memberstack. And if you use the script tag from Memberstack, what Memberstack provides, these content gating will be already managed by Memberstack. So you don't have to be going into each page and create a specific action in Wized to define the the redirect if they are not logged in or if they are not a paid user, etc. So there are many things that are already built in by Memberstack that you can just skip when you're building the web app in Wized. Now, the other option is to not use the Memberstack script at all and just build everything from scratch yourself using Wized. Because the moment that you've got the Memberstack app, you will see how you can start making requests. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit more. Yes. And with Memberstack, you get all these different options that you could use to just have full granular control of what's going on your app. So you can see how, for example, I can get the data from my app. I can get the member object, so I can see exactly the data from the user who's logged in. I can update that member, or I can just trigger a sign in with email and password, etc.
Alex,
So,
I think you're sharing the wrong screen here.
oh yes, like this.
Yes.
Sorry. So
There we go.
So what I was showing is that when you select Memberstack as a request, you get all these different options in here, as I was saying, like getting app, getting the member, updating the member, signing in, signing out, etc. So you've got all these granular controls that you can implement using Wized, or some of these just relying on the native behavior from Memberstack. So in this particular example, as you can see, I've got many things to test. Let me remove this draft one. And let's just use it. So if I want to sign in my case, I'm going to go to my sign-in form. I know that it doesn't look pretty. And in my sign-in form, right now, this form is managed by Wized. So I've got my own action where I decide what to do when signing in. So in this case, if I use some data and I try to trigger a request, I'm submitting the form and I'm signing in using the request method from Memberstack. And because there's an error, I've got an action where I can decide if I want to show an error or not. This can be implemented either by Wized with the granular control that I mentioned, or by just using the Memberstack built-in attributes, HTML attributes, which also provide some controls like creating a sign-in form. So you can see here how you can actually just be deciding, like, do I want to just let Memberstack do the default behavior, or do I want to go and just have full granular control and implement this functionality from scratch myself? It's kind of just a choice of for everyone. So in here, if I come here and I sign in, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So now, for example, I changed my password. So now, for example, here you can see how I got my cool dashboard. And in my cool dashboard, I can just see things like if I go to my requests, you can see how I got these get member request that it was performed when loading the page. And I can get all the data from this member. I can see if the user is verified. I can see the authentication info. I can see the custom fields from the user, the plan connections, etc. So I have full control in Wized to just do whatever I want on this app. Do I want to display some specific functionality for this member who is a premium member? I can do it with the Memberstack script tags, HTML attributes, or I can just do it with Wized with a set visibility action, where I can just decide if I want to render something or not. Or maybe you just want to create some functionality that only works if the user is premium, like maybe it's a to-do list. And as Julian was explaining when building this, maybe you want to only allow people to save those to-dos in your database if you've got a logged in member. So that's something that you can do, for example, here in Wized. You decide with the member object if you want to do something or not with it, etc. So here, for example, one cool form that I have is to another. It's to update the data from the user. And these updating of these users' data, it's happening using a request to Memberstack and an action to listen to form submissions, and a request to update that member if I want to change something. Or in here that I'm displaying the name of the member, you can see how everything is reactive. If I change this and I submit it, this is changing because I'm using Wized to dynamically display the info of the user, which right now is just the name. But Wized is handling all the reactivity of listening to the form, then going ahead and requesting to Memberstack to update the member, and then displaying the new member data also in here, etc. Like, hey, like this. And if I want to go back home, for example, I can sign out because, again, I've got here a request that just says, hey, sign out. So when I click this button, I can sign out. So I know that it's very basic, but hopefully it kind of gives a hint of what you can build using Memberstack. You can do anything you want. You could previously with Memberstack do things like gating content. With Memberstack and Wized, you can do that. You can do everything that you could usually do just with Memberstack, plus everything else. Add any kind of interactivity on your side, work with any other API, integrate any other service, whatever. It's up to you, really.
Julian, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to mention is when you're looking at the two different sides of how you can set everything up, either straight through Memberstack or using Wized, it's not really a choice that you need to make. You can go ahead and try this, and you're immediately going to see that using Memberstack, you're going to have everything set up immediately, and you can launch your business and go with that. And then slowly, as you start to realize during the auth process, you need to get a little bit more granular with it. You need to have full control over everything. You want to reference something in Xano after they sign up to see where you want to send them, all this stuff. You can replace these functions one by one. You don't actually need to make a choice. You can start with Memberstack the easiest way and then slowly kind of upgrade it as time goes on.
That's great advice. We don't want people jumping in for the first time trying to build the whole world, right? First, just build a little house, and then build a community, then build a state, then build the world. Starting small, right? Like Julian's suggestion before of a to-do app, right? If you're a pro, you don't need to go and build a to-do app. But if you're jumping in for the first time, that's like the top starter project for a reason. I just want to make that super clear. I'd hate for people to jump into this and just get frustrated in the beginning and bounce, right? There will be some time, there will be some learning curve. This is natural. And even a good thing. We talked about this a lot before, this idea of a small learning curve, or really a learning curve of any size, being very valuable. It's going to block some people from coming into this and providing the same thing that you're doing. So that's why not everybody has a SaaS product. Not everybody is building web apps for their clients because there's that learning curve. And we believe that this integration is going to lower that learning curve, lower the learning curve to build a SaaS app, lower the learning curve to offer this to your customers. And we want people to actually do this, right? This isn't just a theoretical, you could build all these things. We want people to take action on this. And that is why we are going to have a great build your own SaaS campaign. So for the last 17 minutes of this, we're going to talk about this campaign, how you can get involved, how you can learn a lot, how you can meet people on both teams to really become a power user, get support, and at the end, win some money, right? It's going to be a combination of educational benefit and monetary benefit. Also, another one, advertising benefit. We're going to feature and show off and talk about all the people who get involved with this contest. So if you have ever wanted to go and build a SaaS and you want to go out and market it to this Webflow community, the Memberstack community, the Wized community, this is your opportunity. Not only are you going to have all the tools and resources to go and build this, but you'll get the advertising benefit that we have in this campaign. So, Julian, tell me a little bit about this campaign. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? When are we doing it? Like, let's just break into this build your own SaaS here.
Yeah. So, like I said, I am not a developer, and I was extremely surprised when I was able to build and launch a full SaaS in 2 weeks using these tools together. And with that, we kind of realized that a lot of people are in the same boat as me. You maybe have some kind of idea for a SaaS that you've always wanted to create, and you just think, I can't do that. I'm here to tell you that you can, and to show you that you can. That is why we decided to do this. And between, just to confirm, May 29th to June 14th, I believe, we'll send a message in our community channels to confirm all the details after. But between those dates, you will be able to build and launch a SaaS. And throughout that, you are going to get support from our teams. Any questions that you may have while you're building it, all of these things that maybe would have come up before and blocked you, and then had you think, I can't do this, we're going to be around to answer that. We're going to be there to support you as you build it out. And that, in a nutshell, is the contest itself. There's more we're going to talk about with, prizes, all that kind of stuff. But Joe, if there's anything you want to talk about before we get into that, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that we're talking about all the contest terms right now, but you don't have to remember all the contest terms right now. We're going to be releasing all the final details, written out official terms before we start the competition. So don't think that you have to go and remember everything here and write everything down. This is really just to tell you about it and gauge your interest. But
I think
yeah,
I think that we could
I
also
think
mention that on the upcoming Friday, Technical Friday live streams on the FinSuite channel, not on the Wiz channel, on the FinSuite channel, the next 2 Fridays, so 17th and 24th of May, we're going to do live streams talking about these Memberstack integration and going more into depth. We're going to build something together so you can see, get a better gist of working with Memberstack and Wiz together.
you're getting that premier access to top quality talent when you engage in this contest. Being able to ask people like Alex, people like Julian, the Memberstack team, Wiz team, we're all going to be offering priority support, probably some office hours. This, if you're one of those early users that thinks they may be able to build a SaaS but not exactly sure, this is your time to try, because you're going to have this next level talent helping you, answering questions, walking you through. We're going to be totally on support requests specifically for this contest, right? We want to help you. We want to help you actually build something and be proud of something after that 2 weeks. Did I miss anything with the general terms here? Do we want to get into prizes? Julian, anything to add?
I would say that no, the competition in itself is very simple. You're going to build a SaaS, and we're going to help you do it. From there, as far as what it is that you want to do, that is totally up to you. Hopefully, you come with some of your own ideas, things that you've been thinking you want to do, but don't think that you can. And along with that, nothing confirmed, but I think as well, we could probably share some ideas for the taking. If, let's say, you want to do it, but you don't have an idea. Yeah, I think that's about it as for how the competition is going to work. And then it goes into what happens if you win the competition. And I can talk about that. You could talk about that.
Yeah, we will have a winner. So this is for education. This is for marketing. This is for community benefit. But there is a winner. There will be a first prize, a second prize, and a third prize. Before the first, second, and third, I want to mention that all contestants get 1 year free of Memberstack and 1 year free of Wized to launch and run with your SaaS app for the first year. That's pretty good, right? I think both platforms are a relatively great price for what you can do with them. But just like any SaaS that starts up, you want to minimize costs. So we want to help minimize all of those costs for you. So if you actually go and do this and you build an app, must be Wized, must be Memberstack, you get both of these subscriptions for free. Now, prizes. Julian, you want to go into the prizes?
Yep, for sure. So that is definitely a big thing. And just for anyone here who has not launched any sort of mini product, anything in the past, that initial startup cost can be big because you need time to figure out, is this going to work, to test it, to find that product market fit. And when you're spending out of your own pocket, maybe $50, maybe $100, maybe a few $100, that can hit and that can stop you from actually taking your idea to the fullest. So I think those alone really make this worth it for absolutely anyone. And then for the people who win this competition, first things first, third place, you get a nice little deposit of $500, and that will be your prize. Now, the first and second place gets $1,000 plus launch support, and this is a really, really big one. First place also gets this as well because you are going to get support from both the Memberstack team and from the FinSuite team as you're launching it. You'll be able to ask any questions that you have, and we will answer on how do you actually bring this to market. And the ability to have the teams of two companies who have successfully done this answer your questions is absolutely massive. So both first and second place get that prize, and first place gets a $2,000 cash prize. So that is quite a bit. And really, this, if you come nowhere near the top three places, then you have the runway that you need to turn your new little SaaS into a business. If you get second place, you get a lot of help right when you need it and some nice money. And first place, same thing, more money. So, can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong with $2,000. No, that's $2,000 plus the free membership in both platforms. This is, and the advertising, right? We can't forget about this. It's so important. You can go and build a SaaS, but if you're not good at talking about it or advertising it, or you don't have any following whatsoever, it may be really hard for people to try out your product. So the benefit of being in this competition is we are going to feature every project that is part of this competition, especially the winners, right? If you're coming in first, second, third, we're going to advertise it. People are going to know about you. There, you will have an opportunity for people to really try out your app. This is huge. We want to. I know at Wized, one of our goals is to empower the entire Webflow community to build web applications, whether that's the personal SaaS like this contest for your clients in your freelance or agency career. It's just so important to us. So this campaign for us at Wized, it's just helping us move closer to empowering everybody to build web applications. It's made a huge impact for us at FinSuite at the agency level, building applications for our clients. And we just want to share that love. We want to share that knowledge. And what's a better way to learn than to do it? We talked about this for a lot in the beginning of the episode, just going and doing it. So this competition, it is your push. It's just a great opportunity to go and do it, to really go and learn it. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a big win for everybody. Julian, Alex, thoughts around this?
Yeah, I mean, quick one is one of our big goals at Memberstack is how do we help our customers succeed? And I'm not just saying that because, oh, we're so nice and we want everyone to do well. People who succeed with Memberstack stay with Memberstack, which is great. And it's really hard to figure out how can we help our customers do that. And one thing is just the Wized integration to begin. It allows you to relatively very easily create the features that are going to turn your starting out small web app into a real SaaS. And then this competition is your reason why, so that you can have that moment and actually realize I can do this. And hopefully that's just going to be the first SaaS that you build. And there's going to be way more to come after that.
Before we get to final comments from Alex, we have to tell people how they register. We had a comment from Pablo Cortez. How do we sign up for the competition? There is a sign up. You must pre-register before May 28th. We don't have the form yet for you to go and sign up and register yet, but we will be releasing that. So go ahead, follow Memberstack on X. That's at Memberstack, and follow at Wized app also on X. Follow us. We'll be talking about this competition a lot before and during the competition. So we'll release that form. We'll have people sign up. We'll get people interested. We'll talk about the office hours and the education that comes with it. But just stay updated on our channels. We will be communicating everything to you. Alex, any final comments here before we sign off for the day?
Yeah, I'll just circle back to what Julian was explaining. The moment that you are building something and things start to click on your head, that moment it's beautiful. Just you get the feeling that you can just do anything you want because you're starting to not do something and magically works, but understand what's happening. Understand that you can do the same thing that you just did and apply it on other projects, on other functionalities, on other things that you want to build. So use this competition just as the excuse to build something, as the excuse to learn a new tool, as the excuse to just try to create that specific business or that specific tool that you've always been thinking about, but you never have the time to do it or the motivation to do it. Now it's the right time. Use that excuse, start doing it. Things will click, and I'm sure that you will love it.
Yep. And my final note on that is if I can do it, so can you.
That works. That makes sense. If I can do it, you can too. That is so true. Good. Okay. This is going to be the end of the stream. I see a couple questions about specific projects. We're not going to answer questions about specific projects, what qualifies, what doesn't qualify right now. When we do the intake form for the competition, you'll be asked to talk about your idea. This is where we're going to communicate. And I'll say, I should probably answer Sammy's question right now. Already operating a very basic SaaS using Memberstack and Webflow, can I join the competition to make a fully fleshed out app with Wized? We are looking for new apps built from scratch. However, we haven't discussed this in full yet. So my answer right now is no, it has to be from scratch. You can rebuild your app from scratch, but we would ask you to not start from previous projects. The goal is to open new projects May 29th and to finish those new projects June 14th. But please put all of your ideas, all of your comments in the intake form, and we're going to be communicating with each person individually to make sure you're on the right track, you're confirmed, and we're ready to go build this together. All right, this is going to be the end of the stream. This was action-packed. Thank you so much for both teams putting in the hard work to make this happen. We spent a lot of time at Wized going and building this Memberstack integration. Memberstack taking a lot of time to, well, I shouldn't say a lot of time, building all the rage rather quickly and efficiently. But thanks to Julian for putting the time and effort into go and pitching this campaign to us, pitching the relationship, and just making it work. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate everything that you do for both companies, and we will see you in this competition. Thank you so much, and talk to you later.